Josh Allen looking deep, going deep.
To me, talking about the Bills, what else would you rather be doing?
We're hoping to add a new dimension to the Cover One network.
Slings it deep downfield, and it's caught inside the 20.
Right now, I just want to talk about this championship level. I've never had a championship caliber team to talk about.
I want to focus more on the storylines each week. What are the big stories going on with the Bills? What are thoughts, commentary? How do these things impact Buffalo?
Deep drop. Deep throw, and it is hauled in for the touchdown.
Allen deep to the end zone and caught for a touchdown.
Play action. Allen. Deep downfield, wide open.
Welcome into a new edition of the Going Deep podcast. I'm your host today, Kevin Masseri, here as always with Mike Bunt for a trade deadline edition. We're talking some Jets with Let's Talk Jets, and Tyson Rauch will be on the show here shortly the next 5 to 10 minutes. So we'll have a Jets preview. But first and foremost, we had a busy roster day. It was a trade deadline day, so we're really excited to get into that. Bills make a move. Bills were active. The rest of the league was active. Some big moves around the league. It's been busier this year than it has last year and this year than it had like 10 years prior, probably, between the combo of the 2 years. Really good day to be a Bills fan. You saw Trey White come off the PUP list. He's at least going to be seeing some snaps, most likely, maybe an inactive. So we'll get into that a little bit. You have a new acquisition. Naim Heinz is coming over from Indianapolis for a 6th-round pick in Zach Moss. Perfect deal. That's exactly what I was looking for on that front. And then an old friend of Sean McDermott, a guy that Atlanta felt like feeling like they needed to deal over to give the Bills some safety, even though they're in the thick of it. They thought a 7th-round pick was enough for Dean Marlowe coming back to the Bills to be premier safety depth for the team. We'll see what happens with the Jordan Poyer news and situation. Mike, all that being said, man, how you feeling today?
I'm feeling great. It was a wild trade deadline day. Definitely a lot more going on than I anticipated. Even with the Bills, I did not expect all those moves to happen right as the deadline came to an end. But I feel like if you're a Bills fan, you're feeling positive right now. Some good moves. Added a nice pass-catching running back in Heinz, and then Dean Marlowe comes back, some solid safety depth. We don't know what's going on with Jordan Poyer yet. So that move would seem to indicate they need him for at least the close for a period of time going forward. So good day overall, and just exciting day in the NFL.
And I'm going to give you some good news and notes. Naim Heinz is the 8th-ranked pass-catching back in DVOA among all qualified backs. That was the back that they deemed to be tradable. He did this out of Indy's offense, who's had a quarterback benching, quarterback injuries, offensive coordinator, Frank Reich issues. He is ahead of, actually, in DVOA, ahead of guys like Devin Singletary, Aaron Jones, Josh Jacobs, Christian McCaffrey, coming in at 8th DVOA in pass-catching ability. So that's a really cool stat. He's also number 1 in catch rate at 89%. So that's a good news and nugget. He's also returned a bunch of punts in his career, 73 return punts, fumbled. He's fumbled 3 of them. For instance, that's about half the rate as Tavon Austin and about a third of the rate as 15% from Isaiah McKenzie. So there's a lot of really good news and stats you can point to here. This isn't, did they trade for Jonathan Taylor, Mike? No, that's not what the move was necessarily for. Although, who knows if he was available in any sort. They seem to be fully rebuilding there in Indy. But this is totally the back they were hoping for in J.D. McKissic. Outperforms J.D. McKissic, and the Bills got him at a fraction of the cost. Yes, it did come at the expense of Zach Moss, a guy that had been whittled out of the offense. And I think in a perfect world, the Bills would have liked to have used him more against Green Bay, but that game tightened up. I do think that they were expecting to show him to the rest of the league that he's okay. That's purely what I believe was part of the plan, why they activated him over others on game day. But obviously the game went a certain way in the end. In the fourth quarter, they weren't able to do so. But he leaves with a 6th-round pick with the potential to be a 5th. I haven't seen the condition yet on how that gets to a 5. I'm not exactly sure how a second running back gets to improve their condition. Maybe it's based on how far the Bills go. I don't know. It's a weird condition to put on us on a second running back to see how far they would go. But he really is potentially going to be utilized as a 1B. I don't think Brandon Beane just traded for him for depth. I think depth is nice, and I do think he can fill in if Singletary goes down, but I do think he's more of a 1A, 1B with Singletary, and he's going to do the exact things that you'd want him to do, the things they were planning on J.D. McKissic doing and they get him for about $2 million this year. You take Zach Moss's hit off the cap, you're about 1.3 on the cap this year, eating up a majority of their remaining cap. So not sure. The only questionable thing there is, Mike, even if Odell Beckham Jr. chooses the Bills, I'm not exactly sure how he fits now, even taking away that freedom, that the small freedom that they did have. So the Bills would have to get really creative if they are going to entertain Odell Beckham Jr. here at the end of November. But we talk about him enough. We'll get into him probably as soon as our next show for Odell Beckham Jr. But what is your opinion on Naim Heinz' ability to be a premier pass catching running back?
I think he's definitely going to offer an instant upgrade in that regard for the Bills. I'm not expecting him to be a dynamic player for Buffalo moving forward. I know all offseason we've been talking about James Cook really stepping up, and before that, McKissick really having a big role. I don't think Heinz comes to this offense and suddenly is catching three, 4, 5 passes a game. I mean, I guess it's possible. He's brand new to this team. I think it's going to take him a few weeks to get integrated with everything. And then as time goes by, he'll carve out a role. I'm excited to see what he brings. It's obvious the Bills have been looking for this facet of the offense that they haven't been able to truly get to so far with James Cook. I like the approach of continuing to be patient with Cook, letting him earn his reps. But this is an upgrade. This is going to be a guy that will add another, like I said, another look to this Bills offense. And that's just an addition. I'm not expecting, like I said, anything massive, anything great. You look at what he's done this year, just under 200 yards receiving, not really much in the running game, but his speed, his ability to get dump off passes. You can do special things, jet sweeps, different things that you can bring forward now to keep defenses on their toes.
Yeah, shout out to Let's Talk Jets and Tyson. He's coming on the show here momentarily. We're at the 6:30 hour, so he'll be coming on to talk Jets and to talk what the Jets just went through the Patriots and them like slightly selling a backup defensive end, which an interesting decision from their trade deadline over there in New York. So
James Robinson can't forget about that.
Yeah, James Robinson did come over.
They wanted to have to do, but you lose a guy like Breece Hall, you have to fill in that void, and you'd rather have Hall, but strong move by the Jets to at least replace him for the time being. Yeah,
and I mean, I think we know we're a fan of Bryce Hall here on the show. He's definitely a fan of the Going Deep podcast. He's yeah. I mean, I just thought it was the next choice. If Elam was gone, if the cornerback had gone, he was like the last one. I do believe that Breece Hall was still someone the Bills were heavily considering. Just never really were in the right range to be able to consider him. They were hoping that him or Walker probably would go. They've now spent multiple assets, multiple picks, no matter how you want to rank them, if you're allowed to lump them together or not. You know, I was getting into it on Twitter on like what counts as a meaningful asset and what doesn't. So it's just a matter of what you'd like to do with the running back room. But to me, the Bills have already shown a precedent to be thinking about it. They're thinking about the running back room at all times. So that's really what's important to the Bills, that they've been trying since free agency to shore this running room up and to make decisions on the running back room that they're spending a lot of energy on it. So if you consider an asset to an energy, I do. I think that Brandon Beane's been considering his play and his path to the roster for a year now and what he wants to do with this room. It must be nice to have the quarterback, but he's been sinking some significant time and energy into how he wants to formulate this running back room down to the draft with James Cook, losing out on J.D. McKissick. It's really interesting because, Mike, he's signed Naim Heinz, he's signed through 2 more years in this year. 3 years, 2.5 years, we'll call it. They could cut him, sure, but he has a very lucrative deal. It's not a lot. It's by stretch about what you pay what you were looking to pay J.D. McKissick in a way. It's an interesting deal because it kind of coincides close to as long as you have Cook. So now you have both of them. So similar-ish players, different in their own ways, but now you're going to have those two. All you might have to do next year, and maybe we don't have to think about it as much, is re-sign Singletary for a nominal amount. And then you have 3 players who know the offense. You don't really have to worry about it like you did this year for a year straight, roughly. And you finally kind of righted the wrongs of Moss not working out for you. So is that the plan, or do you really think this is an 8-week move?
Yeah, we'll see. I really do think the Bills value having 3 running backs. I was saying it all offseason when they had Zach Moss, and I know you laughed at me, but I saw why the Bills wanted him. It just didn't work out with Zach Moss. He wasn't a good enough football player. But I do think this is a long-term thing. They've been going after guys like this for the whole offseason. McKissick didn't work out, but now that you have Heinz here, I think it is going to be something that they're going to prioritize with different skill sets, like what the Patriots did for a long time. And now we got Ty here, so let's get the Jets talk going, Kevin. We already have some of his fans out here ready to talk to him. So Ty, how's it going? Must be a good time in Jets Nation supporting a winning team. You must be loving this right now.
Well, I mean, first of all, good talking to you guys, but not really a good time after a Patriot game, man, when we lose it. So,
well, I mean, in one bad game, it's okay. Still 5-3.
We've all had our Patriots moments, Ty. We all know that.
Bro, that was brutal on Sunday because we were so fired up. We're not used to, we're not used to the success. We're rolling like this is our statement game. We're gonna, turn the page, and then that happens, and you're like deflated a little bit. It's just like we were so raring to go, man. It was just so disappointing. So, but we're moving on.
Yeah, that's about all you can do. And we're just kind of finishing up the trade deadline here. How do you think the Jets did? I mean, obviously acquiring Robinson to take over for our boy Breece Hall. A lot of Bills fans wanted Breece Hall. We saw the flashes. Glad we were right about that. And the Bills still, as they did today, are still looking to solve some of their 1B, 1C running back issues that they've had. And Breece Hall is a big name into doing that, but that was a big loss, and I think we saw it on a little bit, especially with Vera Tucker as well. I know a guy you've been high on in your career, covering him. So how did you feel they did? They went and traded a reserve defensive end that was okay. So how do you feel like? What's your opinion on kind of summing that all up?
Well, the trade deadline, I mean, trading Jacob Martin, they have like depth on the defensive line. Bryce Huff's been really good. Jermaine Johnson coming back from injury. Vinny Curry's been good. I mean, their defensive line's fine. So basically, it was just, addition by subtraction at that point. Getting Robinson, I think, was a help. But Breece Hall was carrying the offense, man. And he was probably you could have been an offensive rookie of the year if he kept going the pace he was going. He was literally carrying the offense, explosive plays, everything else. You get Robinson, you have Michael Carter, it helps. But, I mean, it's hard to replace him, man. It's a solid move. I like the trade. It's good value, but it's hard to replace that kind of running back.
So looking at the Jets right now, 5-3. I don't know what your expectations were preseason of what you were going to see. This Jets defense is incredible right now. They are balling. I definitely did not see them playing at this high of a level. Is it sustainable for them to keep this going the rest of the year? And if so, is it possible they could potentially squeak in a wild card, or is Zach Wilson going to hold them back based on just not having enough experience at this point in his career?
This defense has been fun to watch, man. And it's spearheaded by 2 very good corners. I mean, Sauce Gardner's been just awesome, playing at a Pro Bowl caliber level. I mean, you guys know good corners. You've seen it for a long time out there. But Sauce has been great. Reed's been awesome. But the defensive front, Carl Lawson's getting back into it. And Quinnen Williams is playing like almost like an all-pro. And they're relentless, man. They got speed. They got athleticism. They're flying around. They can rotate in pass rushers. So it's been a lot of fun to watch. Even like Quan Alexander's been a really good addition at linebacker. But the problem they're going to have right now is being on the field too much. If the offense can't score points, put together drives, the defense can't be on the field 38 minutes, 40 minutes. And that's going to be something I think is going to be a problem going forward. It's just they're good, but they're going to get gassed sooner or later, and they're going to get frustrated. You start trying to make create turnovers, get more aggressive, and that's where big plays get given up as well. So it's fun to watch. It's probably the best defense we've seen since the Rex Ryan days. It's just been awesome.
Yeah, and so a big question. I forgot where you stand on this, Ty. I know it's probably been. I think we spoke at the end of last year.
How could you forget me, man? That's just come on.
No, I don't forget you. Of course not. Of course I don't forget you. I think. Well, first I want to finish talking about the Patriots game. What exactly happened in that game where? I mean, I saw Zach Wilson start to play pretty good. Then I was like, ooh, he looks. I mean, he's seeing ghosts now, to a fact of like, where is he throwing that? I know Bill Belichick's good in these situations.
Yep.
Look, Bills fans know as well as anybody what he's been able to do, unless you have an all-star, what he's been able to do. What went wrong? Was it just too much to overcome offensively with the couple of the losses? Was it Wilson thinking too much? Was it, I guess, tell us, to me, it looked like that's the game the Jets used to get into the playoffs. And now it's like they lose to the Bills. They have a battle there.
Yeah, I mean, to me, it was the biggest. The momentum swing was end of the first half. John Franklin Myers gets a personal foul that should have been a pick six. That's 17-3 going into half, man. So you go from 17-3 to 10-6, and then the second half, everything fell apart. Special teams have been very good. They missed a field goal. They're not good in kick coverage. Zach Wilson just starts throwing the ball up like he doesn't care. I'm like, all little parts teams started breaking down. But the biggest story, other than the John Franklin Myers penalty, was Zach Wilson's terrible interceptions. It was awful, man. Like, their throws that you're like, this is rookie-like stuff. This is like inexcusable stuff where you're like, where are we going with this? And it was deflating. The defense kept holding the field goals and the offense wasn't doing anything. And it was really, really frustrating to watch. It was the statement game. It was a game. You win that game. We come in this week playing you guys. You're like, you know what? We can lose that game and we're going to still be okay. Now you lose Patriots, Bills, and then you face the Patriots in Foxborough the following week. You can't afford to lose 3 in a row, 3 division games in a row. So, and especially the game at home against the Patriots makes it even worse. So it was disappointing on so many different levels, man. But it's like the Jets. We don't get the calls, man. It's the Patriot thing. We always get screwed on calls. CJ Mosley got called for like a horrific penalty on Mac Jones. Mac Jones is running. He gets hit. He plays like he's dead. They get the call. He pops right up, which is ridiculous. John Franklin Myers. Then we on a missed field goal, our kicker gets blasted. No call on that. And I'm not going to sit and complain about referees, but it's just like these things always happen in the Patriot game for some reason. It just seems like that, at least. So
you're allowed to talk about it. I'm one of those people that say this like. It matters. It matters. You can't sit here and watch football in a vacuum and be like, if we were clean and we were perfect, we would win. Well, no shit, you would win in those situations. Yep. Like that's not how it's played. That's how not life is. There is a human element to it, and sometimes humans are wrong. Yep. It's just like calling balls and strikes in baseball. You were wrong, straight up. It's just the wrong call. There's no other way to put it. Then that wasn't a ball, that wasn't a strike, or that was a penalty, that wasn't a penalty. It's the same type of idea. And to me, we talk about it in Buffalo. It matters. Same thing we've been going through with the Patriots as well. For us, it was the Dolphins game with a couple of egregious missed calls on top of them blasting out our sideline in 130-degree heat, and just the games that they play down there in Miami. So we get it. Like, we understand that under perfect conditions. I don't have an issue with Miami. I actually thought the Jets were better in a lot of ways. I'm glad they were able to take a win. I know it wasn't against undefeated Tua, but I mean, like you say, you can't make. They tell us all the time in Miami, you can't make excuses. Well, they started to make excuses pretty hard when they started to lose to the Jets, and they're like, well, is this, and this? I think to sum that all up, penalties matter. Like, if it's a bad call, it's a bad call. It changes the game.
6 points. It's a touchdown, dude. Like, it's just, it was a pivotal call at the worst time. And it's just like, and this is something that John Franklin Myers did against the Bengals. He did it last year too, but it's just like, you see it and you're like, you've got to be kidding me. It's the way the NFL is played now. I completely understand it, but some of the calls we didn't get were just like, we never get them ever.
And you guys were owning it in the first half, completely dominating that game. And you look at that stands as a pick six. You have a 17-3 lead going into the half. I mean, Mac Jones was looking horrible. You guys were getting pressure. It probably would have been a repeat of the week before where you guys dominated the Denver Broncos, where it was always a one-score game, but you felt like it was over because you knew Denver wasn't going to do anything. And oddly, I actually kind of I know you as a Jets fan probably don't, but I actually kind of feel even more confident in the Jets going forward that they're legitimate based on the way that they looked in that first half. Your defense can stop anybody. It's the offense that needs to figure it out. And what's always interesting when you have a young quarterback is you have those steps of the growing process where in the beginning you're okay with some of the mistakes. As time goes by, you become less patient. Where Miami fans with Tua, they're now reaping some of the rewards. They're starting to talk big. They're feeling confident. We're Jets fans right now in that process with Zach. Obviously, he's had some bad luck with injuries, and he really hasn't had a full season and a half of development. But when you see this defense that's definitely playoff caliber, how long can you be patient with him when you know that's a game realistically you should have won and just was robbed, unfortunately?
It's frustrating, man, because it's like this is a very winnable game they threw away. And, Dolphin fans are funny because they hated Tua. A year ago, they wanted to ship him out and get rid of him. Now he's the savior and they love him. And they never, it's funny how that works. But Zach Wilson fans are frustrated right now because the way he played was inexcusable. The interceptions he threw were inexcusable. And he actually hasn't played well in 3 weeks. Like they were winning with 100 yards passing, but the passing offense has been awful. He's not sprinting it around, not making easy throws, doing all these things. And now the blueprint to beat the Jets is obvious. Stop the run and dare Zach Wilson to beat you. Can he beat you consistently? He'll make his one splash play. He made the big throw to Garrett Wilson, 54 yards. Looks like a great throw. Here we come. And then it's like he'll bounce a screen pass. He'll make he gets erratic, gets inconsistent. And then the other question is, what's the offensive line going to be? Like they're hurting everywhere. They're not getting George Fant, Max Mitchell back till after the bye. So then it's a makeshift offensive line with defenses that are going to dare you to beat them. And it's not easy, man. And, right now they elevated Mike White to number 2. A lot of people, like me included, I thought Zach should have been benched on Sunday after the 3rd interception. I would have took him out because it's haphazard play. You got to hold somebody accountable. They didn't, but I think this Sunday they will. If he plays the same way he played last week, this week, you've got to pull him because the defense who's playing their asses off for you and be like, dude, what are you doing? Like we're giving you the ball back. Like you can't keep playing like that. So he's got pressure on him, man.
And what's going on? Obviously, when Allen was a rookie here, people referred to him as Sugar High Josh throughout the league. And us Buffalo fans, we would defend him. We would say, well, you know what? You're seeing something that's happening 10% of the time. The other 90%, he's showing these strides. And we were a lot more confident in him than what other people would be. And down in Miami, the Tua lovers were always saying you guys aren't seeing the true Tua, that he has potential, and regardless of what people think of Tua, he's putting up the numbers to back up what they were saying. When we're watching Zach, are those bad interceptions? Is that the norm, or is that the 5%, 10%? And what's leading to that? The one where he was rolling to the right and threw it, you're just it's mind numbing.
He's not. But see, the thing is, and like that's why, like I hate when people try to compare Zach to Josh Allen. Like, well, year 2 he went here. You're like he's his own player, man. They're different players, different animals, and Josh is one of the best quarterbacks in football. So I don't think it's even fair to do that. But the problem I have is you're not seeing growth. You're not seeing improvement. So the unfortunate thing is he missed training camp because he got hurt. So he missed preseason games. He missed the joint practices. So he missed all that valuable time. So now he's basically trying to learn on the fly, chemistry, the offense, all these different things, but nobody cares about that. We want to see you make the easy throws, make the smart throws, manage the offense. And they were winning because the running game was so good. Breece Hall carried them. He's passing for 120 yards. They're winning ugly football because the defense is good. Now you're not seeing like those things, like those glimpses. Like you haven't seen that all year where it's like he had one good quarter against the Steelers, which we praised him for. And then that was it. It's like very mediocre, very inconsistent. And like the things you talk about, you want to have something to hang your hat on. Like, all right, like you had that one really good Garrett Wilson throw. And then after that, you're like, what are you doing for 3 quarters? You know what I mean? Then you'll have like the 1/3 of Mims at the end of the game. Nice play. But it's like, it's just not enough. And now you're wondering what's going to happen going forward because the expectations have changed. If you're 2-5, nobody cares, right? Because you expect to lose. Now the pressure's on because you have a team that can win football games. In theory, you're in the playoff hunt. You can sneak in for a wild card spot. And you don't give that away because your quarterback isn't playing well. So it's really, really frustrating, man. And there's a tremendous amount of pressure on him this Sunday, especially because I think the fans are fed up. If you're going to the game, I'm sure if he struggles the first couple of series, there'll be Mike White chance. There's going to be all kinds of nonsense going on. And it's rough, man.
I've always said one thing Sean McDermott excels at is confusing quarterbacks and getting the top end quarterbacks can get them, but they get anybody. That's not saying anything.
Yep.
But he's really good against rookies, first year, second year guys. Yep. He dominates in those situations. That's generally why the Dolphins have struggled against the Bills, 7 straight before their win just this year. So the Bills really are good in that situation. Yeah. What's your opinion on what you want to see? Like, I know it's coming off the Patriots game and then you're going into the Patriots game next week. Yep. What is your expectation though? Like, it seems to me outside of like a really monumental game, you'll be hearing those Mike White chants. Yep. Is that fair?
I mean, it depends on how he plays. I mean, the problem with Zach, he was kind of smug in the post-game press conference too. He was kind of like a little bit of a jerk, which is kind of out of his character, but I think it's maybe how he handles it. I don't know, because now he's facing the Heat. You're facing a very good Buffalo's Bills defense. They're probably going to tee off on him. Like, my expectation for him isn't very high because I think, our offensive line is just banged up, man. And your front is so good that they're not going to be able to run the ball. And Zach can be running for his life. He's running for his life. That's when his mistakes happen or have been happening. So I think fans, most fans aren't going to think about the opponent in the situation to be like, you know what, Zach sucks, bring in Mike White. You know what I mean? Not thinking about, you're playing a very good Bills team that's going to probably dominate the line of scrimmage. So it's a tough spot, dude. But it's just fans want more. They just want to see more. They want to see a competent offense, and you really haven't seen that. Yeah, Elmo.
It looks like you got Elmo as well. Where's my guy Ephraim? Where's Ephraim?
Elmo's he's a character, man.
Yeah, I see that. I mean, hey, feeling good. He's coming off of feeling like he's gonna have the upset. I mean,
hey, I like the confidence.
I do.
The Jets actually the season finale, was it last year? The Jets have played the Bills competitive in certain stretches, better than some other teams have over recent years. The Jets defense, obviously, dynamite. How do you think they're gonna fare against the Bills offense? It always used to be defense wins championships, but now it's more of an offensive minded league. Do the Jets have the guys to slow down the Bills offense enough to make this a game on Sunday?
I can't wait to see how the Jets cover Diggs. I can't wait to see our corners against your receivers. I'd like our pass rush. Obviously, Josh is very mobile and your offense is creative. You can run the ball a lot. But I'm fascinated, man. Like, I think it's going to be really interesting to see how we match up because this is their best test of the season. By far, they've been facing quarterbacks that have been, backup quarterbacks, young quarterbacks, everything else. This is the best of the best with great receivers. So I can't wait, man. I think you have, if anything, I wouldn't be surprised you guys try to attack our linebackers, try to attack our safeties, maybe not even go at some of the corners, but it's going to be interesting. My fear is that the defense holds their own and the offense doesn't, and then things just start falling apart. Or we give away the ball like, stupid interceptions or whatever else, and that gives you guys favorable field position. You take advantage of that. It's just, I'm just being honest. Like, I hate saying this kind of stuff. Like, I hate saying, you know what? I just don't have a lot of faith in the Jets offense right now.
It was funny just going back earlier in the year. I remember the Browns win, the miracle win you guys had against the Browns. And I was watching, I don't know if it was a clip that you guys posted after the fact of what you were saying with 2 minutes left to go. And I feel like that might be a conversation that Jets fans are having this week going up against the Bills, feeling like, oh, it's such a tough challenge. But you never know. Things happen. And this is the best I've felt about the Jets in quite some time. Obviously, the quarterback, we got to figure that out going forward. But I feel like the Jets are starting to build something. Yeah. You look at the rest of the AFC, the West has not turned out like people thought. You have two teams there that are probably playoff contenders. The other two going nowhere. The AFC South is horrible. Then basically you have Cincinnati in the North, and then you got Miami and you guys in the East. Conceivably, even if you guys lose this week, you guys have a shot. Yep. This is meaningful football. How is it? There has to be some excitement. I guess even though it's not fun coming off a loss and potentially a 2-game losing streak, there has to be some joy that it's finally coming together, even in spite of the offense at times.
Oh, yeah. I mean, right now, it's like the team has an identity. It's the defense. The defense is, you have Quinn Williams, you have Sauce. I mean, Sauce is becoming a superstar in New York. So you can kind of hang your hat on that. Special teams have been very good. And you look at, that's why I wanted to win this last game so bad. Because you still got to you play the Bears, the Lions, the Jaguars. In theory, for the Jets, those are winnable games, right? So just say that happens, that's 8 wins. You beat the Patriots, that's 9. You're there. You're right in that wild card mix. So now, to me, it's like now the game in New England in 2 weeks, you got to win that game. That's a must. You have to win it, dude. You have to. So
got to win that one.
It's exciting. Like, we're fired up. We're not used to it because we're usually out of it by now, talking draft. So obviously we're super excited about it. But it's like you get like the game was just frustrating because now it's like you feel like you're winning in spite of the quarterback. You know what I mean? Like you're there. Like you wish you had a game manager that was just good enough to, run the offense, not play hero football, and we'll be fine. And if Zach takes any kind of step, like just matures, does anything a little bit better than he's doing now, the Jets will be fine. But we just haven't seen it. And it's been 3 weeks, so.
What's really interesting is I was, kind of before the show looking at some advanced statistics around the Jets, and I was expecting to find some variance in terms of like maybe they've won some quarterback games and like you just mentioned, some younger quarterbacks, some backup quarterbacks, whatever the situation may be. DVOA says they should have 4.2 wins, so it's not much behind what they have.
Yep.
So it's not like it's egregious. It's not like there's some anomaly on them being 5-3. They have an estimated 11th in the league, and it's kind of where they sit in a lot of DVOA statistics, which is interesting. What's interesting, Ty, though, number 1 in their future schedule. DVOA says the Jets have the hardest schedule to finish out the year. I'm assuming 2 Bills games skew that.
Vikings, Seahawks.
Vikings, yeah. So you have some skewers for sure in that DVOA metric. I'm interested to see where that evens out after this Bills game, where you sit in the remaining schedule from there. But defensive DVOA is looking good. I mean, it's sitting pretty solid right there for you in the 8th spot. Offensively, obviously 21st, so that's definitely an issue.
Who loves the Jets defense? Pro Football Focus.
Yeah, they do.
They have the Jets as the number 1 graded defense in the NFL. You don't want to check their offensive grade. They have them at 32nd in the league. Yeah. But like you said, Kev, there's some high people on that defense.
How about it? So why? What I wanted to say, I had jotted down here to ask you why. I thought the team was decent with Joe Flacco. Is that not true? I was watching it as an observer. Like, I don't know. I don't have an issue here. They're moving the ball.
I mean, to not bring Zach back in or to have him as the backup now?
Either. Like, why? What was the demotion? I guess.
Well, I think the demotion was because he was like a statue back there, and the offensive line was struggling. They needed somebody a little bit more mobile, dude, because he was just getting teed off on. And this year is really all about Zach. You got to play him. Even though Flacco was getting a lot of yards, a lot of it was in garbage time. It was just like kind of ugly stuff. But you had to get a guy more mobile, and you had to this is Zach's team. He's healthy, solid, stuck to his word. Like once he's healthy, you got to play him. And there you are. But now they demoted Flacco to a 3rd string, which I thought they were either going to try to trade him today for a bag of peanuts or release him, because Flacco's got to be like, you got to be kidding me. I'm like inactive on game day now. Like, get me the hell out of here. It's a weird move.
I would think so. Yeah, I guess that's more what I meant on the demotion on game day. If something happens to Zach, they're not even going to go to him in that.
And that's the weird thing. And that's kind of where I got confused as well, because I'm like, if say you're in the playoff hunt, if say Zach goes down and your season's on the line, do you want Mike White throwing the pass or Joe Flacco? But Mike White's not really proven anything. So it's a curious decision that could come back to bite him in the ass, but we'll see what happens.
What's going on with, I think we talked last time about how we were kind of impressed with some of the things going on with the Jets receivers. And what's going on with Elijah Moore scenario here? We have someone saying the Jets need a true receiver 1. I guess you could comment on your opinion of the receiver room in general. Are they helping Zach out? This Elijah Moore thing's weird. I thought he was somebody that I would never have seen inactive / on the trade block / not playing. That's a weird drop off for him. That's kind of like, I don't know, Mike. That's kind of like if the Bills decided they didn't like Gabe Davis all of a sudden. I guess maybe he hasn't put up quite like Davis, but similar.
Yeah, we were all high on Elijah Moore last year. We thought he was a pivotal part of the future. And now you have him sitting out games because of issues. That's crazy stuff going on.
Yeah, and the thing is, once Garrett, everybody loved Elijah Moore, and we were all saying this year's going to be his breakout year. Put him in the slot, move him around, you can do all kinds of things. They bring in Garrett Wilson, who everybody just loves right off the bat, and Elijah Moore got put to the back seat all of a sudden for some. And it's just the offense and how they use the receivers. They have Elijah on the outside, where he usually flourishes on the inside. And then, it's like, I guess he's getting really frustrated. And then it's like you're passing for 100 yards a game, but you're winning. So it's like, all right, you keep your mouth shut when you're winning, because it's just an awful look to ask for a trade then. They make him inactive after a little spat in practice. He comes back last week and gets like 10 snaps or something like that, which is ridiculous when your offense is struggling. So now, is it a pissing contest between the coach and the player? So they didn't trade him today, which I was surprised by that. I thought they were going to.
Yeah,
but now it's like, if you keep him here along with Denzel Mims, you got to play them and maximize their potential, because your offense needs it. Like Corey Davis has been out. Corey Davis is Zach Wilson's favorite receiver. Elijah Moore has too much talent to not use him. It's just weird, man, how this is all going down. It's like they have tight ends. They're not really, Conklin's playing very well, but they have all these moving parts that could be an asset in the passing game, and it's just not coming together. And it's frustrating to watch.
Yeah, That's confusing to me because I look at some of the Jets' weapons, and there's guys I think can play. Obviously, Garrett Wilson, I love what he's doing out there right now. He looks like he's going to be a solid player for you guys going forward. Conklin is finally contributing. He's having a good season. But CJ Uzoma, he's been non-existent. He's coming off a very solid season with the Bengals, and you wouldn't even know he's on the Jets at this current time. Elijah Moore having issues with the coaching staff.
Yep.
The Corey Davis move has never really panned out.
He's coming on, man. He's actually like he's playing well this year. Like he's played a lot better. And Uzama's been like the blocking guy. He's been mauling guys in the blocking, and slowly but surely he's getting more involved in the passing game. Like it's like one or two plays, but Conklin's been the feature guy. And they have Ruckert too, who's been, who's hurt, and they're slowly working him in too.
So I mean, I get it. You got a young quarterback. You got guys that you want Uzoma to be a force in the block game. I'm just so bummed that Breece Hall is not part of this, because you look at him, 5.8 yards per carry, I believe, right around there. I feel like you guys had something really, really special. And a lot of people in Buffalo did not think highly of Breece Hall during the draft process. I had people laughing at me for saying I would be okay with him in the first round if the Bills took him. And the whole time, me and Kev were proponents of trading up and taking him, because we saw an all-around dynamic running back that you look at his athletic comparables. This guy was one of the best running back prospects in years. And if it wasn't for the notion of waiting till the second round now to get a running back, I think this guy would have been a top 10 pick a decade ago. But just a heartbreaking to see him go out, because there's a lot of people that believe that a running back can't make or break an offense. But I truly believe, having watched him, he was one of those exceptions where he was the perfect player for you guys, and just go-to guy whenever times are tough. He'll get that first down. You can get that drop-off pass, and man, I'm feeling it. I'm disappointed that we won't be seeing him anymore this year.
Yeah, I mean, he was just a game-changing player for the team. Like catching the ball in the backfield, just the running play, whatever it was. The team fed off his energy, super explosive, and it's just like. And then you have Michael Carter backing him up. Was it the good 1-2 punch? You know what I mean? Really good dynamic there. And then once he went out, you're like, man, like it sucked the wind out of everybody. I think everybody's brokenhearted. He's a really good dude too, man. He's a really good player. He embraced being a Jet, and it was just like, I kept saying, like, this is like a rookie of the year kind of player. He was that important to this offense. It made things so much easier for Zach and everybody else, where you literally said, you know what, we're going to run the ball until you stop it. You're going to try to stop it, and you figure it out. And then they kept proving they couldn't. So it was just heartbreaking, man. Robinson played last week. He showed some good things, but that speed element, like, to me, Breece Hall was like a Tomlinson, like a Le'Veon Bell. Like, he had so many things he brought to the table. And now it's like, to replace that, you're going to need like 2 or 3 guys to try to do that. And
it was something that I'll let Kev take over in a second. When you're looking at the yards per carry, there's a big drop off from Breece to Michael Carter. And then obviously James Robinson has only played a game. Was Breece just that much better than everyone else in the Jets backfield to make a 2+ yards per carry difference? Was it situational? Was it the Jets offensive line maybe not blocking as well with Carter in the backfield? Because normally you put a backup in, you might have like a 0.2, 0.3 difference. You don't see a 2.2 yards per carry difference.
Well, he had some really long runs too, man. He had some some long bursts too that makes a big difference. But I mean, like, I wouldn't discount Michael Carter too much. He doesn't have the same speed element, but he carries defenders. He fights for every yard. He does a lot of really good things. It's just that extra speed, that extra gear that Breece Hall has. Like, once he's there and turns the corner, he's gone. Like, that's it. There's no catching him. And Carter doesn't have that little extra boost. And then the offensive line at times has struggled too, and especially now, AVT is out. Like, your tackles, you're rotating every week. It's just like, you know who's playing where. So that's been a challenge too.
Dang, I'm getting dragged. Usually it's Mike that's getting dragged.
The Jets fans don't want to drag me. You're the easier target, Kev.
What's funny, Bills fans drag you, so we'll take that trade. I think I was on your show, Ty, last year, and I was saying, maybe I don't remember when I came on late in the year, or if it was what month we were on, and I was saying at the time I thought the Jets team had a chance. So it must have been before the end of the season that they could make a run toward the playoffs because I thought the talent was there. I thought they were better than Miami at the time and the Patriots. The Patriots ended up making the playoffs, obviously barely due to some midseason wins, and I saw the talent. What I really liked were that offensive line to me this year I thought was gelling. Now that your entire tackle room is out, it's challenging. What I want to ask you about is the offensive line. It's challenging for me to see that and see you guys making a push. And that's from someone that likes the Jets. So what's your counter, if there is one, to the health maybe? But I'm looking at that and saying, I don't know how they can stop the Bills pass rush. Put everything else aside, say you stop the Bills offense. I just don't know how that can happen with this unit, and basically the only one who, and you could correct me if I'm wrong, whose service I know Laken Tomlinson's getting dragged in Jets Twitter, is McGovern, who's played okay ball, but what's the strategy to? I mean, the Packers had to designate like 7 guys to Von Miller on Sunday Night Football, and it kind of worked. And then the Bills started destroying him up the middle. So what's your philosophy, I guess, in these bigger games to where that's going to be more of a focal point than, let's say, against the it doesn't really matter, a team with less of a pass rush?
Honestly, I don't know, because Dwayne Brown's playing well, but he's hurt. So he's probably 80% playing there. So you're going to have, the right side's a mess, and they're not going to get reinforcements till after the bye. So, Max Mitchell and George Fant come back after the bye. That's what the Jets are kind of counting on. But this week, you're going to probably see a lot of tight end help, running backs in the backfield trying to chip. But it's like James Robinson's still learning the offense. Michael Carter, blitz pickup is not really his thing. Ty Johnson's a little bit better with that. But it's like, I honestly don't know. Maybe roll Zach out more. I like Von Miller, dude. When he went to you guys, I'm like, you've got to be kidding me. Because he's like a man on a mission. Like, he can play 15 snaps and get 4 sacks. It's how good he is. I genuinely don't know, because our offensive line's been very inconsistent, and the pressure you guys can get. And then you have a quarterback that whenever he gets pressure right now, he runs backwards. He never steps up in the pocket to kind of get away from the rush. He actually runs back and runs around side to side, creating more problems. So it's going to be a challenge, man. You're going to need probably jumbo packages and all kinds of ways to try to slow it down. Maybe try to run the ball and have success that way if you can. But the
Bills are going to bait you, Tyson. They're going to bait you to run it. We saw it on Sunday Night Football where they're like, if a Hall of Famer doesn't feel like throwing on our defense, fine. We're going to continue. A good stat we had from Cover One here, our own, I believe it was it Adam? Mike? Someone tweeted that 6 men in the box in the first half when it was, I guess, before the game had begun. They elevated when the Packers started to run successfully to 6.1 men in the box. They didn't care. They basically said
exclusively nickel for the most part, because the Bills.
We just said you're not gonna. And then Von Miller had to make a comment to Aaron Rodgers saying you didn't try to throw the ball, like you're losing. I think their best bet is to come out throwing. I'm not kidding. And you're gonna think that sounds silly. But quick passes as an extension of the running game. I think the teams that have done good against the Bills have taken what the defense has given them to the best of their ability and run occasionally and continue to mix it up, because the Bills aren't going to come out of nickel. They're not going to come out of nickel.
But we've been saying that though. Like that's where Zach struggles though. It's the short, quick passing game. Like we do game previews. We know now that the teams are going to stop the run, especially with Breece Hall out. Like, you're going to be like, you know what? Stop it. And it's like quick screens, bubble screens, slants, all this stuff. And they can't do it. I don't know if it's Zach throws the ball too hard, it's too fast from whatever it is. The Jets struggle with that. And you're right, though. Especially you have Elijah Moore and Garrett Wilson. You even have Berrios, Jeff Smith, like all these speed guys over the middle. Just get the ball in their hands and go. And the Jets don't do that, man. It's
the Bills will give it to you. They'll give it to you.
I think what's so tough about the Bills is their defense is their offense is equivalent. Both sides are equally incredible at what they do. And the Bills almost the way they know they can score points, they're fine. If you can run the ball early, get out to a lead, then maybe you can kill enough clock to keep it close for a period of time. But what happens so often, the Bills jump out to these quick leads. Teams are trying to come back, and if you want to run it, like Kev said, you're just killing more clock and less opportunities for yourself. And it's almost like the way the Green Bay Packers played on Sunday, they were just playing to keep it close. So I'm kind of with Kev. Running the ball might keep the score theoretically closer for a longer period of time. But if you're not taking those chances, you're not really playing to win the game in the long run, because most of these games where you see the Bills lose, they're making self-inflicted wounds where a bad turnover, even the Miami game, their only loss of the year, they outgained Miami by over 275 yards. Their problem was they had a turnover where they fumbled inside their 20 and Miami took advantage and got a touchdown. Then the second half, Miami converted a 3rd and 20 and ended up finishing that drive with a touchdown, and the Bills couldn't score. So basically the best option is to kind of force a huge takeaway and stop the Bills from getting 6, which is easier said than done. But as much as
it's slow the Bill offense
tough.
down, it's not slow your own offense down, Ty.
Yeah, I think being aggressive is what you need to do, but I know that's hard to say when you got a cook young quarterback struggling. So
that's the thing. It's like how much are they going to put on Zach Wilson's plate, against the Bills and say, listen, kid, go out and win the game for us, or make these throws, or are they stay conservative with him because he's coming off a horrible game where everybody's questioning every facet of him. Do they say, you know what, brush it off and let's go, this is a big game? Or do they say, you know what, we're going to kind of hide you and really scale things back and really simplify it? And the one thing is they have players for even like safe checkdowns. Like you have Conklin, you have Uzama, like do the easy checks, just like get him in the flow. Like their scripted plays, there's no rhyme or reason to him. Like he's not comfortable. And that's where it just flows. And then like, if you go, say you go run past and it's 3rd and 8, here comes Von Miller. Here comes your pass rush. Like it's a little bit predictable right now. And it's a good point. Like how much will the Jets like give him a chance to win this game? I'm not really sure.
That's a big question. I think they need to let him win the game or don't start him. Like seriously, go to Mike White tomorrow. Like go to Mike White on Wednesday if you don't think Zach Wilson can win the game, because the Bills will win if you do the opposite. That I'm pretty sure of.
Yep.
Sorry, you go.
No, I'm just saying, and even Green, they let one of the best quarterbacks ever. Yes, he has limited weapons right now. Do that, and they took a lot off of Rodgers' plate and said, we have Dylan, we have Aaron Jones. This is a pretty good combo. We have a chance here. And the Bills said, no, you don't. So to me, I think they have to let Zach go out and try to win. Like they have to, because the alternative is not going to work out. Nope. So if he's not going to be able to do that and have a play, maybe get picked, the next play, maybe hit the weakness of the Bills right now, Mike might be their safety room. We'll see what's going on with Jordan Poyer. If there's a weakness on the Bills roster, they shorted up today with Dean Marlowe, trading a 7th round pick for him, a guy familiar with the defense. Should come in and play early. I don't know that he would start, but we'll probably see some special team snaps into a starting role, maybe if Poyer's down. But if Poyer's down, the Bills defense, and Mike can attest to this, looks bad. Not bad. It looks worse because those safeties are huge in a Sean McDermott defense, and they're already missing an all-pro in Micah Hyde. They can't be missing their other all-pro in Jordan Poyer, or that's where the Dolphins won again. Back to the Dolphins game. Both the safeties were out that game. And they weren't able to exercise on the passing game like they normally are able to when Jaquan Johnson plays.
That would be the one weakness. The 2 backups, you could go over the top, and even Poyer comes to the line of scrimmage so often to make plays. Losing him,
gotta be aggressive.
That is one, if he's not playing, that is one positive that the Jets can try to exploit. And I want to just add one more thing about the running. If this was last year, I would have a totally different advice for you. I would definitely tell you to try to run on us and expose us, because the Bills had games against the Patriots, against the Colts, against Tennessee, where you could consistently run, build. I can't even speak today. I'm sorry. Burn some clock and be able to win a low scoring game. It's just so much different with the offseason guys that they brought in. Having Daquan Jones in the middle has been a game changer for this Bills defense. He's facing one of the higher double team rates in the league, but still has one of the highest win rates. Tim Settle adds some depth. Jordan Phillips coming back to Buffalo after a couple years gone has been a force inside. Got Vaughn on the outside. The way they have these rotations, they're keeping their guys fresh. And realistically, you shouldn't be able to be effective stopping the run when you're in a nickel defense. But these guys have been just so stout that they're doing a good enough job outside of obviously the Green Bay game of being able to shut down most teams. So the situation is if you think you can get 4 to 5 yards on first down carries, go ahead, run the ball. But if you're setting up 2nd and 8,
Yep.
3rd and 7, and then you're passing against that secondary minus the safeties, you're just setting yourself up for failure because it doesn't seem to matter who's at corner for the Bills. Everyone that has played has had success. We're talking about a defense with Dane Jackson,
Yes.
2 rookie corners, and they've actually done better in the secondary since Trey White has gone out than when he was playing. So it's just tough. If you think you can run on first down, all for it. But I would stay aggressive and try to at least hope to get some of those short passes going.
It's going to be interesting, man. The Jets, a lot of times they run on first down. That's what they do. They try to get their 4 or 5 yards and make your 2nd and 3rd manageable. But then if like you stifle that, then it's like that's where I just wish they would use Zach Wilson's mobility a little more, man. Roll him out. For some reason, he's always going to the left. Roll him out to the right. If it's not there, have him run. Like he doesn't really run as much as he could. Like Josh Allen does a really good job, but when he sees that hole, he's gone. He doesn't think about it. He takes off and he gets his yards. Zach doesn't do that. Like there's so many plays where like the 4th down play last week, the yards are there. There's a huge hole in front of him. He throws it. Like just run. It's just that could be inexperience. It could be the pressure. It could be whatever it is. But you can't have those mistakes this weekend. Like
coaching because he has the legs.
Yeah.
I mean, the one thing that was great about Allen as a rookie was he would constantly run when he couldn't get going. He would run. He had multiple 100-yard rushing games.
Mm-hmm.
I almost feel like if you're a struggling Zach Wilson, use your legs, get some of that yardage, make things. He's a good enough athlete.
Yep.
So I would love to see more of that improvisation because it feels like when he's rushing outside, like you said, he's trying to – I respect the looking downfield, but that's where those mistakes are happening.
Exactly.
And what's so bad about taking 5 yards when you have it?
Yeah, you keep the drive alive, man. Just keep moving. Just keep getting positive yards. He's running backwards. He's running side to side. He's not running forward. The pressure in the pocket, he doesn't step up into it. He goes back. It's like, and a lot of it's technique and it's coaching, and it's a lot of different things. I think he's overwhelmed at times where he's losing faith in the blocking in front of him. And then I think his comment this week was he's getting tired of rolling out and nothing being open, so he's bored because he's throwing the ball away. Like, bro, be bored. Stay bored. Don't if you don't say anything.
Say that?
Yeah, he did. When he runs, he was getting bored. When he's running out, he's getting frustrated.
No,
He's always throwing it away.
Did he?
Yeah, he did.
That's not good. That's not.
Like you're basically throwing your receivers under the bus and your coaching staff because like it's just. But like we were all so pissed at that point. We're like, dude, just
we don't care. I don't know if you noticed. Maybe you did. You probably did. The Bills did trade for Naim Heinz today for Zach Moss and a pick. Any outsider's perspective, Jets perspective, would either or any thoughts on that? Coming from a really good backup in Indy, a guy that they're probably going to elevate his playing time here in Buffalo. The Bills have been trying to find a premier pass catching back for a year and a half, like just straight up. They tried J.D. McKissick, agent backed out last minute. Player said the ownership reached out to him. J.D. McKissick wanted to stay in Washington, even though they'd agreed to a deal in principle in the offseason. That equaled trying to effectively find James Cook in the draft, potential back to the Breece Hall discussion where the Bills are interested, Kenneth Walker as well. And then into the off, pretty much they were interested in CMC, only offered a second by all reports. Obviously, Safran offered more. Kamara was a guy they were interested in as well by reports. We don't know where the talks went there. What actually Brandon Beane likes to argue he didn't make an official offer. They were just talking.
Right. Of course.
But we know, quite frankly, that might have gone, hey, will you take a second? Oh, you won't? Okay, no offer.
Yep.
But we know that is probably along those lines. But it's true. The Bills have been looking for a pass catcher. They weren't able to get the top end guy. They dove into the second tier of pass catching, but by metrics, Naim Heinz is in a lot of top 10 categories.
Yep.
What do you think he could add to the Bills offense? And trying to defend him now with no film of him in the Bills offense, I'm not sure how much he'll be used in the Jets game. It could be one of those things where they play him a bunch or he doesn't get on the field. So you saw it with Robinson last week. He got on the field.
Yep.
So what do you think he could add to the Bills pass core now that as a team trying to defend him? And you'll probably have to worry about it a little bit more later in the year when they play again.
Yeah, and I like Singletary too, by the way. I like the way he plays. But yeah, I mean, the thing is, if you want to attack the Jets defense, we do have challenges covering running backs and tight ends. That's just always been a thing. The Jets, minus Quincy Williams, they lack some kind of speed in terms of the linebacker group. So unless they move a safety up, like Jordan Whitehead, who I was a really big fan of, has been kind of disappointing. LaMarcus Joyner's playing better, but I think that's probably the whole work, especially if you're getting so much pressure. You get those little dump off passes to Heinz and let him do his thing. Like that's how you're going to offset the pass rush, especially. But the Jets don't blitz a lot. They go with that whole 4-man principle where they we're only send 4 guys and do all these fancy coverages and stuff like that. But I think that's how you use him, man. Just little quick checks to him and let him run. That's any running back can do that on day one. You're not worried about learning a whole new offense or anything.
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, so it's just a counter the Bills wanted to make to some of the other moves across the league of fortifying their offense. There's still been much talk about Odell Beckham's number 1 choice being Buffalo here in December. Yeah. So we'll see if he jumps into the slot come December 1st or not. But Von Miller claims he doubled down on it last month, basically saying it's a done deal. So we'll see the two of them being able to close out another championship like they did in LA last year. So it is, the Bills clearly think their defense is good. They didn't really feel like they needed to do much, but shore up a little bit of depth at safety. And Trey White coming off of the PUP list today. I'm interested to see if we see him against the Jets. If we do, it'll probably be in a rotation with Benford or a rotation with Elam, depending on how they line this up. But it's just another piece that the Bills are probably like, we didn't need to do anything defensively. We're getting an all-pro cornerback. But would love to see him, though. It's a good game. I'd love to see him against Wilson. I know, you can say what you want about your passing game, but I'd still think it's a really good game to kind of get him tested against a team where he needs to go in and show that he's still Trey White. He can't go in there and get burned by, is Corey Davis supposed to play, or is he still?
I think he's still day to day or whatever it is. Like he didn't play last week. He wasn't active last week. I have a funny feeling he's not going to play this week and give him. Yeah, I have a funny feeling that's what it. But like they brought Mims in now, and you have but Garrett Wilson's the kind of like Zach Wilson throws to 3 people. He throws to Garrett Wilson, Michael Carter, and Conklin. Those are the 3 guys he throws to, basically.
I'd love to see him on Garrett Wilson. Honestly, I think it's a good early challenge. It's good for Garrett to see Tre'Davious White too. I mean, they're effectively going to be playing many years against each other. Bearing a trade, those two should be locked up with each other for at least 2, 3, 4 seasons going forward. So I'd like to see that start. Mike, I don't know if you have any opinions on if we see Trey White this week. They've been cautious, but I think they've only been cautious to sit him out the first so many games. The problem is, Ty, and you can go into this too, and Mike's done, is your field.
Yes.
Odell Beckham has his issues with it. I mean,
I
think the Jets will luck out if that's the word you want to use, because they're probably going to hold him till Minnesota the following week.
They've been safe so long with Trey that I can't see them exposing him if they think it could have some issues, especially when they've shown they have more than enough confidence with their other corners. So maybe on a pitch count, but they might want to hold him until the Vikings game in Buffalo.
What's your opinion on that, Ty? Like, where do you go with your field? Is there issues of changing to trying to replace that?
There was rumors. I think Boomer Esiason started a rumor where he's like, they're going to go to grass in 2 years or something like that. I think once the Jets extend their lease, because their lease is set to come up pretty soon. But I mean, that's been the rap with every team that comes in. They always talk about the field. Every one of them talks about it.
Interesting.
So, and the Giants talk about it. Obviously the Jets and Giants aren't going to say anything negative because they play there. They're always going to defend it. Oh, we have the best facility, all this, and they're lying to us. We know it's not. But a lot of teams have complained about it.
What was the bad injury? It was Shepard, right? Got hurt on it, and everyone's blaming the turf, wasn't it?
He was just jogging.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's scary. How do you feel playing on that? I know you probably are sick of talking about it, but is that?
I hate MetLife Stadium. I hate the whole place. I hate the field. I hate the building. It's like a glorified toaster. It's just, it's terrible. You guys are lucky. You're getting that new state-of-the-art stadium up there. It's like we're all jealous, Yeah,
well,
that's a big topic of debate here in Buffalo.
Is it?
It is. There's always been the half that want a dome downtown stadium, and then there's the other half that likes the outdoor element and doesn't want a lot of money spent on a new palace. So it's always been a topic of debate here, probably the last decade. And putting it right across the street from the current one, I'm looking forward to it. I'm excited. I would have been fine with whatever they did.
You got to keep it cold. It's Buffalo. You got to see the snow, the cold. You got to see all that stuff there.
I think last season really tickled people the wrong way, because then the Patriots took an advantage in that 55-mile-an-hour wind game. So everyone's complaining about that. then the playoff game against the Patriots was in negative like 30. And we're like, here we go again. But obviously the Bills came out and dominated New England in that game. But still, like before that game started, we were like, here we go. It's literally unable to stand.
Love it. It's the whole $1.4 billion price tag. You see Tennessee get a new stadium. Some fans wanted this to be like the perfect stadium. And when you're paying $1.4 billion, you're not going to get a SoFi. You're not going to get what they have in Atlanta or Minneapolis and so forth. So some people thought it was a little bland. Once the stadium goes up, fans walk inside.
Yeah, well, and then you got the whole public money argument too of like, should the public be paying for as much as they did? I mean, you've gone through that with the Jets, Giants, Yankees.
I know Downstate doesn't like that we're getting it, but for Bills fans, what I'm telling them all, you're getting a team for another 30 years. You're the second smallest market in the league. It's a good gesture by the state and the NFL to keep a team in one of the prize value markets in the league, historic franchise. I know the Bills haven't won a Super Bowl, but I think it's good to have some of that small town feel in the league.
And the league's completely fine with a small town team with a $1.4 billion stadium. I think they're going to be more than okay with the taking your second or third lowest priced franchise and boosting it up toward the middle. I think that they're more than happy with that.
Are they doing PSLs or no?
Yeah, doing PSLs,
yeah. Every season ticket holder is going to have a PSL, so it's not going to be for most people. I don't think it's going to be ridiculous. It'll probably be in that 1,000 to 3,000 range, but where it's really going to hurt is the 100 sections in the club.
I heard the 50-yard line. People that have had them for
the people that have. We've had these cheap tickets for such a long time. You start taking it for granted, and where my heart goes out to is the people that have had season tickets 20, 30 years. They've worked their way up to 50-yard line, 40-yard line, and suddenly they're realizing they have a $20,000 PSL and they're going to have to go to a corner 300 level section. But that's just the price of business, unfortunately, in the NFL. And you got to pay up sometimes just to have a team. So
yeah, it sucks. That happened to the Jet fans, man. It was miserable. It alienated a lot of fans. Like, you had tickets for 30 years and then you're going from 45-yard line to, corner of the end zone because you don't want to spend $30,000 per seat on a PSL. It's like, it pissed off a lot of people, man. A lot of fans didn't come back. They were just like, you know what, this is,
that's same.
No loyalty.
It's the cost of the business, though. Like, the Bills will counter, like, we got a lot of public money, and this is the reason we're here. We need the PSLs. It kind of is what it is, but we're going to see how all that turns out. And I just think, like I was saying, I tweeted this before the game. After the Bills game on Sunday night, and I said, just as expected, the 6-1 Bills, 5-3 Jets. For the division ish. Not technically, but it's really big. The Bills would take a commanding lead. The Jets would be right back in the thick of things if something bounces their way. Like really, like with the division win, really boosting their wild card profile for in a lot of ways. With the division win, with the conference win, with the strength of victory, like just really all of it. And they're at home coming off of a Patriots loss, and they really need it. Like the Jets really could go a long way stealing one away that they weren't supposed to have in the offseason. So
absolutely.
Will the Bills show up, Ty? That's the biggest thing. We've seen them go on the road after a big win, after big wins cumulatively, Kansas City, Green Bay. Both Bills fans mostly same thing, counted one of those to be a loss. So the Bills got them both for house money. So they're going down there in a 1:00 slate. Bills are used to prime time now. 1:00 slate on the road. We've seen this ball game before where they go in and they're sloppy. They're sleepy. They think in the fourth quarter they're just going to dominate. And this is not quite the Jets defense you're going to be able to go in there and hang 10 points on in the last 7 minutes when you felt like not playing for 3 quarters.
Yeah, that's a possibility. I'm not sure if we're is it really a letdown game? The Jets are 5-3. I think they got
probably not.
They got the attention of a lot of people, especially with their defense. I don't know. I think that, I think there'll probably be a lot of Bills fans in attendance too. I think they said the game is sold out, which probably means there's probably 20,000 Bills fans there. I just think the Jets have got to start off fast, man. It'll pay so many dividends. The crowd's probably going to go in there not as amped up as they should have been because you're coming off a loss. You're kind of down on Zach. If they come out fast, make a statement on defense, or come out fast, make a statement on offense, like Zach makes a couple good throws, see you put up a field goal, whatever. Get the crowd into it, get momentum, get everybody buying back in a little bit. especially on offense, man.
Yeah.
It'll go a long way. I mean,
the Bills are really good in the second and third quarters.
well, the Jets are a fourth quarter team. Yeah, they're like
are they a fourth quarter team? Okay.
Yeah.
Bills are really good in the middle of the game. Really good. Dominate once the team they're playing stops with their scripted plays. Once Josh gets his feet under him, they're really good in the second quarter. They dominate. They dominate in the third quarter. I think they've only let up 6 or 10 points in the third quarter to date. They're very, very good in those quarters. And then by then they build a big enough lead, and whether Josh needs to show up in the fourth quarter or not really determines if they're playing the Chiefs or not in those situations. But what's interesting to me is if you can weather that middle of the game, I think you need, like you said, you need to come out hot, because the Bills can come out slow, and they did against even Green Bay a little bit to start the game. You need to come out fast. It's easy to say. I take the ball. Here's a take for you. I take the ball. I try. I would try. I would not give the Bills a 7. Teams do this. They score generally 90% of their opening drives. I would not give the Bills an opportunity to go up 7-0. I just don't think that that's good business.
I think the Jets will defer. They want their defense on the field first. Saleh is big about having the ball coming out of half. And the other thing too is like the Jets too, for the first time in like years, they actually make halftime adjustments. Like they usually do a lot of much better things in the second half, especially on offense. They make adjustments. Defense is they're a lot fresher due to the rotations. They're chomping at the bit in the fourth quarter, getting your sacks. That's how they close out the games in the past. Where in Denver, they're getting Carlos is still getting after it. Quentin Williams, like they've done a much better job of closing out games and making adjustments. It's just getting to that point now. Now it's just like, can you weather, like you said, weather your storm and just still be relevant in that third and fourth quarter where you can find a way to get something.
And Green Bay wasn't able to weather the storm. Many teams aren't. They just, by the time that the Bills storm was over, they just couldn't get anything going. And that's what the Jets need to prevent. Instead of the Bills going up 27-10, you need to be more like in the 21-13 range or 21-10 range, something that's doable, because I think you need to put the pressure on the Bills. I think the pressure's all on the Bills in this game. I know the Jets could use it. Obviously, they could really use this game. The pressure's still on the Bills. They're the ones with Super Bowl hopefuls. They're the ones that can't let this up. They need to keep pressure on the Chiefs. They need to keep kicking Miami. So it's all on them. But to me, if they can come out and play free, if the Jets can really put some pressure on Josh Allen, he will burn you. That's just, but that he will burn you anyways. But you'll see him muck some. He'll try to throw the ball away like he did in the red zone against Green Bay, and Jair Alexander picks it somehow. So that's the kind of the Bills struggle in the red zone. If the Jets can tighten in the defense, like you said, when you were making New England kick field goals, yes, the Bills will be a little bit more of a challenge than that. But if you can do that, that's where I think even Bills fans will start to get nervous if they start to see their red zone offense, which beside the safety play, which may or may not have Poyer, we'll see. That's their next weakness, is the offensive red zone. So we'll see. It's strange because they're so good offensively. They're so good out of the red zone with long passes, hitting Gabe Davis, hitting Stephon Diggs. I think you guys will be able to take that away, though. So you'll be able to take away at least some of the strength of the Bills offense. You need to pair that with the red zone defense. If you can, that's where things can get a little more interesting. If you can't, that's where it's going to hit the fourth quarter. And regardless of how strong you're coming after Josh, it might not be enough.
Yeah, I can't wait to see how the corners play, man. I'm like, this is a great test for Sauce Gardner, man. Like I'm just excited because they've played against some good, they played against obviously Joe Burrow and guys like that, but this is like, the best quarterback in football with Diggs and Gabe Davis and all these guys. Like, I just want to see how they handle it, how they handle the pressure.
Will he shadow Diggs like on either side? Will he follow him around?
It depends. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. Like Saleh said that he wouldn't do that, and then in games he did do that. So it's like he kind of, I guess, goes game by game with who the player is, But Reed's been a very good corner too, man.
I was going to say, more importantly than Sauce might be Reed. You would think Josh doesn't care who the corner is. He does. Sometimes he won't target Ramsey unless it's the right call. If Sauce is winning his battles, he will start to target the other side of the field. He will. And that's where you start to see the Bills fringe receivers. You see Gabe Davis go off for 4 touchdowns, or you see Isaiah McKenzie get involved, or Khalil Shakir. So that's what's interesting to me, is that if they think the matchups on the other side, the Bills have said, like, it hasn't really happened as much this year. They'll go against Diggs. They'll say the matchup was on the other side. The corner couldn't handle. We were rolling coverage to Diggs. The other cover couldn't handle the backside, could not handle Gabe Davis. He was cheating. He was, maybe cheating over the middle for knocks, whatever. But Josh will get involved, his second and third receivers. So that's what's more interesting to me, is can your other guys get involved.
Teams have been doing that, man. They've been challenging Michael Carter. That's because like Reed and Sauce are playing good. They've been challenging Michael Carter, but he's been stepping up. He's got a couple picks. So it's like he could have had a pick 6 last week if they didn't screw us. But like the teams are realizing, you know what, we got to find other parts of defense to attack. So that could definitely happen, man.
That's an interesting part of this battle, Ty, and we appreciate you popping on the show. What are you working on this week? What do you got going on? I know you have a pretty roaring chat in your live shows. I'm sad I didn't see my guy Ephraim.
Yeah, I'm surprised.
Yeah, Ephraim didn't pop in, one of your very loyal listeners. What are you thinking? What's going on in your film room coming up?
We're just right now. It's all about the offense, man. Everybody's analyzing every facet of the offense. How do you get Elijah Moore back involved? What do you do with Denzel Mims? How do you get Zach Wilson on track? And what do you do with James Robinson? How many more carries is he going to get? How can you feature him? It's all offense, man. This is the whole week is just like, how do we get this righted as fast as possible? So
the Jets have played 4 backup quarterbacks.
There's a lot. This is easily. I mean, obviously the Bills are the best team in football, but this is the best quarterback, best receiver. Like this is a great challenge for this defense.
Marlowe could play this week for sure. He'll definitely play special teams outside of coming in, having some dinged up or injury. I would anticipate him playing this week. Yeah, absolutely. Will he play over? If Poyer plays, you won't see Marlowe at all. If he doesn't, that's where it gets interesting. Will he play over Jaquan Johnson? Not quite sure. We'll have to wait and see how practice looks later in the week. It's prediction time, Ty. It's my favorite time of the show. It's my favorite time to put people on the spot. Mike's been wrong before. Mike's coming off of a
I just want to point out before he makes his pick. Yeah, I remember picking KC against the Bills. I remember. I'm surprised I didn't get more hate for that.
You didn't. You didn't really get enough hate for that.
I really didn't. They really let me off the hook. So
we'll start with Mike, and then we'll go to Ty. We'll give Ty a minute to kind of formulate what he's gonna give us. Mike, what do you got going on for this?
What's the spread right now? Is it 10?
It's 12, isn't it?
12?
Yeah.
Okay, that's
12.
a little bit. God, I do respect the Jets defense, but I don't know if you can keep the Bills offense down for 60 minutes. I'll say 30-17. Bills. I think the Jets are a strong defense, but I just don't know what team is holding this Bills team under 25 points. And I don't think the New York offense is going to be able to get enough done against this Bills team.
And the line's moved to 13 now. So 13 points to the Bills. Interesting.
Well, I'm Vegas because I said 30-17.
So that's what they think it's going to be. I think the over-under is pretty high. They got it set pretty high. So they think that the Jets have an opportunity here to score points. So I think that's about what they're predicting the game to be, roughly 30-17. So Mike's cheating.
What's the over-under?
I did pick. I just so Spin knows. So he's asking how are the Jets going to score 17. I said 27-17 last week, and 30-20 last week, and ended up being 27-17. So I had the number right last week. I just was off 3 total. So I'm normally pretty close on these. So we'll see.
Interesting. The over-under is set at it was 47. Yep. 47 points.
Huh.
That's pretty
30-17. Oh my goodness. I
said you literally picked Vegas to score 30-17.
I did not even know that going in. So
that's wild. What do you got, Ty? What do you got going on? I mean, it's a lot of points to cover. I mean, I don't know. I can't predict an over in this. That's interesting.
I'm going to say 27-17 Bills. I like the defense. This is just more my lack of faith in the offense than Zach. And I mean, it's probably be like a 27-10 game. The Jets score a touchdown in the fourth quarter, make it 27-17. But the Bills are a better team. I just think it's a tough spot for the Jets, man. I just think it is.
I got a good one for you. I've been pondering this one. I wasn't too far away from the Bills prediction last week either. I got the Bills winning, but it's a 1-possession game. I really do think the Jets will do enough defensively. I do. The Bills have shown a propensity to be good in 1-score games lately, which is something that they weren't last season. We heard much to do about why can't we win 1-score games? Why do we blow people out? I do think so. I do think a 1:00 game in New York with a good defense. I think I'm going to dub the Jets a good defense. All the metrics point to it being good. Is it elite? Probably not yet, but it's good. It's a very good defense, and one that will, at times, will probably make us punt. So I do believe that you're going to see a closer game. And I do think that, yes, I think the Jets are good in the fourth quarter, and you'll see that maybe tack some points on to bring it to an element to where if we stop the Bills on this drive, we could get it back to score. Will that end up happening? I don't think so, but it could, to where at least they have the ball with a chance to tie. So I think that will weather be a factor now in November? There's a lot of factors. We all live in New York or New Jersey. So there's a lot of factors to this game. And I do have the Bills only winning a 1-possession game, and one that I think you're going to come out saying, all right, it wasn't terrible, wasn't great. And I think the Jets, we'll see them again next time. And maybe that's an encouraging sign going into Foxborough with like a must win, coming off a little bit of at least defensive high against Josh Allen. That's my prediction. But the Bills are very good defensively. They're very good defensively in terms of in these situations. And it goes overshadowed because of Josh Allen and Diggs. But a lot of the times they've covered up, and last year more so, they've covered up some issues. And Sean McDermott's scheme takes a really good game plan. It takes a very buttoned up quarterback. And we'll see if Zach's that. And maybe he turns some things around. But I have 24-17. It's an under. And I think it's a 1-possession game. I just don't think they're going to be able to get to the scoring level they need to get at. But some fumbles, some red zone turnovers, a stop at the end of the game to get the ball back. I mean, you never really know. Yeah. Any given Sunday over the long haul, yes, the Bills win 80% of the 8 to 9 out of 10 of these games. The Jets have enough, though. They do have enough now to pull one off. I don't see it yet, but I really am interested to see the Jets next season. I really do think they're a season away from legitimately being a team we have to think about in a higher light. Not that we're not already, but I do think they squeeze in the 7th. My prediction is they squeeze in the 7th wild card spot. I don't think Cincy's for real.
God bless you, man.
I don't think Cincy's for real.
I do it myself.
I think this team reminds me of the Bills 2017 team. I'm not to say they're 5 years behind the Bills, but just kind of in season, I do think that they have enough defensive talent to kind of overshadow some of those offensive weaknesses. Yeah. And I think they're going to be able to build their offense this offseason to get over the hump. But I think you'll have to go into like Kansas City or something in the first round. But hey, it's the experience that matters, man. It's you're going to beat out somebody. I hope you beat out New England and Miami. I really do. Miami just went all in, but I hope that the Jets are able to do so and really be able to. I'd love to see them go and upset Kansas City. I think they have the defense that's able to do it.
Just the offense.
Yeah, I mean, can you score enough to play in the 2-7 game?
Let's just get there, man. I'll be drunk for 2 weeks.
That's what I'm saying.
Off of that.
And honestly, that's what do you need to make the playoffs right now? I mean, 9-8 can sometimes squeak it in. Can the Jets get to that 9-10 win? They have a defense good enough to do it. They're not going to do it by scoring 1,000,000 points. But if I was a Jets fan, the two things I would care the most about this season is continuing to stack wins with this defense, and then finding out, is Zach Wilson going to be that guy, or are we going to have to invest in another quarterback this offseason? If you guys get to that 9-win, 10-win point, and Zach's still throwing these horrific interceptions and struggling, well, then maybe you have to draft someone at some point or bring in a middle tier
for somebody
and give him some competition. So if you can find a way to win and get some of that improvement either way, that's the ultimate.
I like this point by Calgary Mafia, Ty. 100% of the Super Bowl winners have to make the playoffs first.
That's right. So, I mean, dude, we wouldn't do it ourselves. We literally would not know to do it ourselves.
I mean, you never really, I don't think that Cincinnati team was anything special.
No.
So, I mean, it just takes just a couple things going your way in 1-possession games in the playoffs. I mean, that's really all it is. Stack a couple of those, but I do think we'll see you. I'm going to hit you up in 6 weeks. We'll see you in the Bills home game. We'll see where we're at. We'll see if there's a big runaway. We'll see if the Jets close the gap. We'll see if you're even still in wild card contention or better. So kind of excited to see where 6 weeks takes us. Mike, give us some final points for today.
Final points, exciting trade deadline for the Bills. Getting Heinz in the fold is a huge addition for the Bills, especially in the passing game. Good to have Dean Marlowe back. This Jets matchup, who would have thought before the year that it would be between two teams with winning records? I'm excited for it. I'm excited for the Jets fans to have a team that they're proud of at this point, and hopefully it keeps on going. Kev, you think it's going to be a one-score game? I think it's going to be a little bit more separation than that, but I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing for New York, even if they lose this game. 5-4 at the 9-game point. I think you'll get back on track against New England in New England, and then just see where it goes from there. And I do want to promo something very quick, an event that Going Deep Podcast is taking part in. There's going to be a signing with Total Sports Buffalo. Taron Johnson, Tyler Bass, November 12th. It's a Saturday. We're going to be giving out 10 tickets. So any of those in the comments, we'll go a little bit more into that on social media this week on the Cover One page on how to go and win some of those. But if you follow our account at Going Deep Pod, and then Total Sports Entertainment Buffalo, and then we'll be picking some winners throughout the week and next week if you tune into our show. So definitely want to see some people engaging with that. And Ty, once again, appreciate you being part of the show. I know your time is worth it. So an hour of our show, we really do value that. So thanks once again.
Yeah, Ty, tell us where we can find you this week. What's going on? Where if we want to send some Bills fans your way, what do you got working in terms of your days and where to find you?
We're Let's Talk Jets Radio on YouTube, man. At Talk Jets Radio, Instagram and Twitter. We're live Mondays and Tuesdays. We stream sometimes the games on Sunday if we don't go. We're just like fans, man. We have a good time, uncensored. We just keep it real. We don't do a lot of real X's and O's. We're more of like a casual, fun channel. But that's it, man. And I appreciate you guys are awesome, man. I appreciate you guys having me on.
Yeah, anytime. Once again, we'll see if we can book some time in 6 weeks to kind of recap if what we were saying made sense, if we were totally off base, if it was Jets upset, or if it was
the same team. It'd be fun. I would love if we were all on the same side for one of these games, but nice. To each their own, you know.
Yeah, Ty, we really appreciate you coming on. For everybody at the Going Deep Podcast, Cover One Podcast Network, we have the film room coming up now for special promo video from Greg Tomset and crew to talk about the discussions. We're going to be talking about their opinions on Naim Heinz, so stay tuned with that. Stay tuned to any of the updates, contract notes around him. Will the Bills keep him? How does he escalate to a 5th round pick value, etc.? So stay tuned to all of that. We really appreciate all the viewers, all the fun people coming on to say kind words about Tyson and Let's Talk Jets Radio. Elmo's, wishing you farewell as well.
Hi, Elmo.
But I'm sure you'll see him soon. But from the Going Deep Podcast, the Cover One Podcast Network, and Let's Talk Jets Radio, we'll catch you in a couple of weeks to kind of recap everything that's going on. So we'll catch everybody very shortly, and we'll have a recap for you next Tuesday at 7. And watch out for those promos on how to win a combo ticket. Taron Johnson, Tyler Bass, combo autographs here.
And here's the thing, you get an autograph with both of them, any item you have. So these are going to be worth it. So keep a lookout on that.
Appreciate you, and we'll talk to you guys all soon.
Josh Allen, looking deep, going deep.
To me, talking about the Bills, what else would you rather be doing?
We're hoping to add a new dimension to the Cover One network.
Slings it deep downfield, and it's caught inside the 20.
Right now, I just want to talk about this championship level. I've never had a championship caliber team to talk about.
I want to focus more on the storylines each week. What are the big stories going on with the Bills? What are thoughts, commentary? How do these things impact Buffalo?
Deep drop. Deep throw. And it is hauled in for the touchdown.
Allen deep to the end zone and caught for a touchdown.